See, we plan ahead. That way we don't do anything right now.
I think about lots of things. Now, why don't we not stand here talking about them and get down to doing them?
To begin.
Clytus, I'm bored.
To begin.
What plaything can you offer me today?
How to start.
Welcome to The First Syllable, a show about writing, a show about ideas, a show about... Right now, for me, it's a show about brainstorming a novel, while also, this episode, about realizing something about the things I'm writing. Without intending it, early novels of mine that I wrote. Let's see, the first novel I completed was 1996. And then I wrote a dozen or so over the next several years. Wrote a bunch of short stories and whatnot. Had some breaks from writing when I was busy with other stuff. And then more recently went back and just completed the first one in a while, just this past January 2024. That was Four Finger Discount, which is a novel set in the city of Eadith, in the kingdom of Guardia, on the continent of Eleuthea, in the world of Basara. Chase Two Rabbits, the book I've been brainstorming, is also set in the city of Eadith, and its triggering moment that starts the story is the ending of Four Finger Discount, but it is not a sequel, because it doesn't involve those characters. We will hear of a couple of the characters that were mentioned or appeared briefly in that story. But the main characters have gone. They left the city at the end of Four Finger Discount. I get ahead of myself. Because what I wanted to say is early novels that I was writing were often about found families. I think that's the term you use. Meaning characters whose real families aren't the best for them. I remember one in particular, what was his name? Henry Braden? His older sister had been his legal guardian since he was young because their parents died in an accident. And she is busy because in the town of Diamond Cove, she is the only midwife. And so anytime there's pregnant women around, and she probably even goes to nearby other towns, she's busy. She's also, I think, been going through some problems with her husband. I forget all the details. Jumping in from editing because I just remembered more detail. The husband runs a charter fishing boat. And at the point of the story was called Bridges, the husband, I don't remember his name, is gone on a lengthy trip, like he's been gone for days. Lilia, the sister, has been busy with, I think, multiple women are pregnant at the time, or one is giving birth that day, and Henry gets home from school and no one's there. And it's just this, like, he feels like that's his every day, is that he gets home and he's by himself. Latchkey kid, because the story is set in the 90s. That part of the story is set in the 90s. Anyway, back to me before. But like, when he's home, he doesn't feel like there's anyone there. So he's one of many characters who then seek out his group of friends for everything. That kind of found family thing. And I'm still doing that. Four Finger Discount. Odds runs away from her home. Kill has run away from his job that he does not like. And Reska has, run away from everything. And these three characters come together and find a purpose in helping Odds deal with a loose end before she actually leaves for good. If you've been listening to the show, you know what that loose end is. It is retrieving a finger from a safe. If this is your first episode, good luck figuring out what that means. It is literal, but there's reasons. But I realized another thing recently. And this fits with who I am as a person. I have ADHD, I am autistic, I grew up in a cult, and I'm a nerd with not that many, what I would call friends. But I think that's because I have had a feeling from way back, and I think this comes from movies and TV more than reality, of what it means, what friend means. And I think of it as more than just a person that you do stuff with. Like, I've said, I think on this show before, when I was running my first D&D campaign in person, this is back before COVID and where my next one started online has continued that way. Me and the other people in that D&D group, we went to Ren Fair together twice. We went to the Pirate Invasion of Long Beach. We went to Medieval Times. We went to escape rooms. We went to the Science Museum. We did other stuff together. We had game nights outside of D&D. That is a pretty good version of what friends means in the modern world. But still, I had trouble thinking of those people as my friends because we didn't necessarily have, like, personal conversations about our lives. Sometimes we did, but we were all nerds, so often that just meant we were talking about our interests. Which, as an autistic person, that makes sense. So found family stuff makes sense. That Four Finger Discount is that. But the other thing is that Odds is explicitly, well, I shouldn't say explicitly because they don't have the word autistic, but she's autistic. That's how I framed her in starting this story, even before I started writing Four Finger Discount. There is a word for it. Mindip? I'm forgetting the word. It's Swazi. It's the old words. Swazi were the people that used to live in Eleuthea 1,000 years ago. They're gone. Essentially, I treat the Swazi language like we would have like Latin or Greek. So when I need a new word for something, I create a root first. So I'm not fashioning the language out of nowhere like a good conlanger, but one word at a time when I need it. She specifically calls herself this thing, which it translates as deep mind, and it is what I call their version of like neurodivergent or autistic specifically, probably. And I think I wrote Odds as if she is autistic and has ADHD just like me. Because it's who she is. She's this character who's becoming another trope, but she fears it like she is. She's not the chosen one, but she is like this special person who might be more powerful magically than many people have been in generations. But she is afraid to go with it because she has this specific vision, sort of imagining of what she could become if she's able to read everyone's thoughts. And she's afraid of becoming that person. She sees that person as what she calls the judge, and she thinks that she will become the sort of dictator and forcing people to make right choices rather than letting them live. And that's who she is because of her neurodivergent mind and then the magical ability added to it. So she is a lot like me as an outsider and a weirdo. And now, Chase Two Rabbits, I realize, connects as well because the main character, Lee, is a one-of-a-kind, unique individual. In the world of Basara, they have these things called clockworks, which are, if you play D&D, they're like Warforged, except not for the purposes of war. They're robots, and they have souls. How they get their souls is a thing saved for a story later. I do know the specifics. Leaver, is different than them. He was a puppet, and he was brought to life in a different way, where his soul was created in his body. It didn't come from somewhere else. And so it makes him unique and strange, and he can't reproduce. Actually, I don't even think he has sex. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he's anatomically correct. He may have tried that out at some point. Maybe that'll come up. I don't know. But he doesn't have to eat. But he does eat. And he does drink, because those are things he can enjoy physically and gives him something to do with his life. He also loves to read and go to the theater. He likes music, goes to clubs and listens to performers. Because he wants to enjoy everything he can, because he will never have a regular life like other people. Because he's not people. He's a anthropomorphic rabbit puppet that was brought to life by a weird wizard who was doing experiments. And I realized, between Odds and Lee, I've got a new sort of theme going. They're characters that don't fit. But also, it's not even necessarily that I'm writing a version of myself into these stories. But in a way, what other characters are going to be fun to write? I don't want to write some, like, action hero who's going to go out and get things done. I want that person who has to struggle to do this stuff. I'd rather write Rambo in First Blood than Rambo in First Blood Part 2. He's not super capable because he chose it. He was forced to be was he a Green Beret? I forget if it's Green Beret specific or some other special forces, but he was trained to kill people and to use guerrilla tactics and set traps. He doesn't want to be that person. He just came home in First Blood. And then the town doesn't like that he's there because he's a Vietnam vet at a time when America didn't deal well with Vietnam vets. And so they try to run him out of town. And that doesn't end well for them. I don't want to write the guy who's just able to do things. Kill is close to that, but he's reluctant because he doesn't like the thing he's been trained to do his whole life, even though he's good at it. The reason, going with his name, Kill. He is good at violence, but he does not like it. He likes to read. He likes to cook. if/when I get around to writing the actual sequel to Four Finger Discount, he and Soraya are starting a restaurant in the town where they live now. That's what he wants to do with his life. Odd's little brother is specifically able to turn into animals, and that makes his identity fluid and strange, and he doesn't interact well with other people. Odds can read everyone's mind, and the more she does it, the more she can do it without any real effort. And so she doesn't like interacting with too many people, especially not people she knows. So she takes on a job on the railroad in security, something where her skill serves a very specific purpose. And she doesn't have to be the one making the decisions, she just has to be the one giving the people that make decisions information. She sees that as an okay version of what she can do. Or at least an okay version for now. Lee is a detective because he's never going to have the normal life that everyone else might have, so he is there to help people keep their lives closer to normal. And I hadn't realized exactly how close Odds and Lee were to each other and to me in terms of what I'm writing about. And I think it might be another trope that continues for me, not a trope for everyone else, but a trope for me, in that how they connect. There's a definite connection between Odds and Lee as representative of neurodivergence and outsidership. I think I'm okay with it. We'll see how it continues.
Cut!
I should get coffee. Coffee would help me think. But I should write something first, then reward myself with coffee. Coffee and a muffin.
You're still here?
Okay, so I need to establish the themes.
It's over. Go home.
Maybe banana nut. That's a good muffin.
Go.